We are now going to look at how to edit and delete text in Microsoft Word. But of course, to do that, we need some text in the first place. So let's use our little technique to get some text on the screen. And we type in equals rand, open brackets, two numbers that denote the number of paragraphs and the number of sentences. Close the brackets and press the enter key. There's our text. So you can imagine that you've done quite a bit of typing here, and now you go back to edit your text and make those changes. Now remember that wherever that flashing insertion point is where the next thing that you type will be. Okay. Oops, I've made a mistake there with my surname. That should really be a capital letter. So I don't need to rub out every one of those characters. I can do that. I can use the backspace key to delete all those characters and retype it. But really, that is time wasting and not very efficient. All I want to do is change that T. So I can move this insertion point to just next to the T and delete just that T. There's two ways of doing this. You can either try with your mouse just to get in the right place and click, and there it goes. But that can be really fiddly. The best thing in my mind is to use the cursor keys. Yes, use your mouse if you want to get somewhere close by clicking, but then use the cursor keys there on your keyboard. That allows you to move the cursor up and down the screen, left and right, to position it to just where you want your insertion point to be. Then you can do your editing. Now, two ways of deleting a character. One is using the backspace key and one is using the delete key. Have a look at that flashing insertion point. In fact, let's zoom in a little bit to make it even easier. Okay, you should be able to see the insertion point is flashing away between the letter T and the letter A. If I want to delete the letter T, that's a character on the left of my insertion point, then I use the backspace key. And that character is deleted. Just show that again. There's my letter T. On the left of that, I use the backspace key. It has an arrow on it pointing to the left, and it deletes. If I wanted to delete, instead of the character on the left of the insertion point, if I want to delete the character on the right, then I use the delete key, and that deletes the character on the right of the insertion point. And then you can just retype. So use the cursor keys to get close to where you want to be. Decide whether you want to use the backspace key to delete to the left or the delete key to delete to the right, and then add in your letters using the keyboard. So in this instance, I need to delete the T. That's to the left of the insertion point, so I use the backspace key. Reinsert my character, move the cursor back to where I want to continue my typing, and there we are. So that's editing. Something to be careful of though. If you try, let's just put that back to a lowercase t. If you try to select any text in order to delete it, that also works. So I've got that text selected, press the delete key, and it disappears. The danger there is if you select too much. We've got a whole lot of text selected there. Basically, that means the insertion point is that width. The insertion point is from there to there. So we know what happens when we start typing or pressing anything on the keyboard. It goes wherever the insertion point is. In this instance, it goes and deletes everything that's there. So you've got to be careful when you're editing that if you are using the selection method, make sure you've only got selected the text that you want to work with. Otherwise, you're going to lose a lot more than you bargained for. Another thing that can go wrong with editing is that this can happen. Let's delete the letter T. And put that back in. Oh, can you see the A disappeared? I'm just going to reset that and let you see that again. Watch carefully. I want to delete the letter T. I haven't selected anything. We delete the T using the backspace because it's on the left. Type in my letter T, my uppercase T, and the A disappears. Oh, never mind, I'll put the A back in. Oh, the Y's disappeared. Never mind, I'll type it back in. What is happening is the computer has gone into has gone out of insert mode. That's where when you type, the character is inserted between the characters that are already there. It's come out of that mode and gone into over type mode, which basically means whenever you type goes over the next character instead of inserting a space for itself. This can be very infuriating. If you have a look on your keyboard, just next to the delete key, you'll see the ins key. Often this is pressed by mistake when you're trying to delete, and it's a toggle. Press it once and we're in insert mode. Press it again and we're back into insert mode. So it toggles between insert and over typing just by pressing that key on and off. But how do you know which mode you're on? Well, if you have a look down at the status bar, you can see currently over, OVR. That means we're in over type mode. That means when we type, it goes over the top of what's there. If we press the insert key on the keyboard, that OVR has now grayed out. It's not a feature, therefore we're in insert mode. And it inserts the text. Incidentally, you can also double click that status bar icon to switch between those modes as well. So a few things for you to watch out for there. One is when you are deleting. Are you deleting on the left or the right of the cursor insertion point? And the second is whether you are in insert or over type mode.